Hi, I'm Peter Webb, integrative psychologist here at the National Institute of Integrative Medicine. It's my great delight to talk to you today about a book that I've recently written and has just been released. My book is called System 3 Thinking: How to Choose Wisely When You're Facing Doubt, Dilemma or Disruption. What is this book about and why did I write it? In fact, the concern that I've had for a long time now is that our decisions can sometimes be foolish or can sometimes be wise, and who can tell the difference? One of the things that has disturbed me for the last 15 years has been the foolishness of decisions being made by leaders in particular, in our governments, in our institutions, in our communities and corporations. So what I've tried to do is research the field and find out how to make good decisions. What I've been particularly interested in as an integrative psychologist here at NIM is how to help my patients make really difficult decisions, particularly when they're facing doubt, dilemma and disruption. So it's my great delight to present this book to NIM. It will be available through the NIM website, available through all booksellers, so it's easy to get, download on Kindle if you want. But let me tell you about this book, because this book is very important in terms of the difficulty of facing decisions now, particularly post-pandemic. So the book is about 3 systems of thought. And you may well have heard this before. System 1, thinking, is actually what you do with your heart. It's intuitive thinking. It's just responding from what you're feeling. It turns out that over 95% of our decisions are actually made with our heart and our experience. We sense and we know what to do about decisions, by and large. We don't have to think about it too much. Now, System 2 thinking is mostly with your head. System 2 thinking is where you have to step back and you have to calculate and think about it, do up a spreadsheet, and it's hard work actually. But System 2 thinking is the deliberative act of thinking through something and calculating the balance, if you like. So we use System 2 thinking when we actually have to think and calculate. But the research that I've done over the last 15 years has demonstrated that System 1 thinking, using your heart, and System 2 thinking, using your head, are necessary, but they're not sufficient when you face these really difficult decisions of doubt, dilemma, and disruption. And that's where System 3 thinking comes in. Now, I've worked out that there are 6 dimensions to System 3 thinking. These 6 dimensions have to do with the way in which you approach a problem and how you actually solve it. Whether that problem is, should I go or should I stay? Whether the problem is, am I going to accept this job or not? Or really, should I actually stay in this relationship or not? I mean, there's so many difficult and tough decisions that we face on a daily basis, none so more than post-pandemic. So the 6 dimensions of System 3 thinking have to do with focus, number 1. Focus is about putting your attention on the problem or the situation or the area of concern. And mostly we're not very good at focus, actually. We need to develop the skills of being able to pay attention to something long enough to know exactly what's going on. The second dimension of System 3 thinking has to do with life experience, how to cultivate your experience. Now, it's often said that getting older is not necessarily getting wiser, because often you're doing the same things over and over again, but actually not getting good results. So your own life experience is a source of great reflection, but so is the life experience of other people. How can you actually ask others for their advice? How can you actually look at autobiographies and other information to see how other people have conducted their lives for some advice and some opportunity to approach the decision that you're approaching? And the third dimension is around decisiveness, which seems a bit strange given that I'm talking about how to actually step back and think about a decision. But decisiveness is not sitting on the fence. It means that you actually have to commit to making a decision. But importantly, it's about making lots of small decisions rather than waiting for one big decision. As entrepreneurs know, it's better to prototype your way to success than wait around for a big decision. The fourth element is around emotional regulation. Now, this has to do with being able to control your emotions, not suppress your emotions, but know and understand what you're feeling and know and understand what other people are feeling, and being able to regulate the richness of your own emotional experience, not letting it overwhelm you. The fifth dimension is compassion. Compassion is vitally important in the world today, and by compassion I mean the ability to step forward and do something to help another. Kindness, of course, is a very good placeholder for compassion, and we're not seeing nearly enough of that in the world today. But to actually elevate kindness into compassion, into actually willingly taking action to ease the suffering of another, as well as self-compassion. You need to be compassionate for yourself. And the sixth and final dimension is tolerance for diversity of values, which means being able to recognise that your value system is not unique. There are people who have vastly different value systems to yours. Being able to accept, acknowledge those value systems without denigrating your own. It does come down to tolerance for diversity and inclusion of thought and inclusion of different attitudes and different approaches. And what I've found is that these 6 dimensions of System 3 thinking are necessary to be able to make really difficult decisions, really tough decisions. Now, in my book, and actually on the website, you can actually take the T3 profile assessment of how well you use these 6 dimensions. And in the book, I talk about how to enhance each of these 6 dimensions so that you can improve the capability of making a really difficult decision next time you have to make that decision. There's lots of stuff in the book, lots of resources, and I tell lots of stories from my own personal life. And one of them that I want to share with you is when I was presenting a program at the Central Bank of Sudan in Khartoum in Africa just a few years ago. And at this presentation, I was talking about wise decision making to central bank governors at that time. And they said, look, we don't need wise thinking. We have our religious texts to inform us. And I said, that may be true. Wisdom is right throughout all religions. So that's possible, but you have to actually move ahead. There are lots of other ways of making decisions, and you can't actually deny the fact that there are different ways of making decisions. And I have to say that denial is not a river in Egypt. The room fell silent. I realised 2 things. Number 1, Egypt is the sworn enemy of Sudan. Number 2, the actual River Nile was just outside the training room window. And I realised that I'd violated one of the 6 dimensions of wise thinking myself, which is tolerance for diversity of values. So it taught me that I have to actually monitor and be careful about these 6 dimensions of System 3 thinking and apply them to myself. I encourage you to read the book to gain an understanding of how you can best make really difficult decisions in tough times. We're all facing difficult times post-pandemic, and I want this book to be able to help you, to nurture you and support you and those around you to make the difficult decisions that you need to make. Go to the NIM website for more information about the book. You can access the book through Amazon, Kindle, any of the book platforms. It's available. It's also available on my own website, peterjwebb.com. So I encourage you to learn about System 3 thinking and apply it for yourself, your families and your communities. Thank you.